don't know if you heard, but I am going with Miami Heat to win the championship this year.
Man, did you pick them to win?
I did.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of this team.
Well, they smoked the Hawks in Game 1.
They did.
Now, Duncan Robinson played a huge role in that. He came off the bench, led the way, making a franchise postseason record 8 3-pointers.
Did he miss one, or did he miss just one?
He was 8 of 9, yeah, so he missed one of his 3-pointers. He had 27 points. He was one of 4 players to score in double digits for Miami, but they also played great defense. They came out aggressive. Trae Young had just 8 points on 1 of 12 shooting on the way to their 115-91 win. Now, I expected the Heat to make quick work of whoever they matched up with in this series, but that is a rough stat line for Trae Young, who I don't think will have that kind of performance again in this series.
Well, when you're a shooter, Steph Curry has bad afternoons. Like, shooters have this is not, we're not talking mid-range jumpers where Jordan had few, like clunkers. Like when you live off that 3 in the long range shot,
you live and die by it.
Yeah, and you have bad weekend games.
Then if it's not dropping, and it did not, then you're also dealing with a very spicy Miami Heat team. And pretty early, it got a little chippy. But Game 2 is Tuesday at 7:30 Eastern. Jimmy Butler also had 21 points, and Kyle Lowry added 10. So good performance by the Miami Heat to start the playoffs. The Mavs, however, could not overcome missing Luka for Game 1 against the Jazz.
We said last week, he plays, they win. He doesn't, they lose the series.
Yeah, I mean, he's just too big of a star to be without. And the Jazz are not a bad team. So this is not a team that you're going to be able to, clobber without your star. So Utah was only up by 2 at the half, but they never fell behind the rest of the game. Donovan Mitchell scored 30 of his game-high 32 points after the break, and Dallas did get within near the end of the fourth. Royce O'Neal hit a big 3-pointer with under a minute to go. Jazz won 99-93. So it's not as if it was a blowout without Luka, but you need your guy to get you over the edge against a good Jazz team. Now, Luka is also expected to be out with the calf strain for Game 2 tonight, so they're going to have a big performance tonight at 8:30 Eastern. Spencer Dinwiddie had 22 points. Jalen Brunson had 24 points.
Well,
it's not that they don't have the scoring, but Luka is just a factor that you can't overcome being without.
Yeah, I mean, and if he's not available for Game 2, which is a must-win game, it tells you they may shut it. I mean, if not shutting it down, they're not even playing him 16 minutes. They're not playing him anything.
Right, like he's clearly too injured to be out here for these playoff
games.
In
the biggest game of the year.
Right. So, I mean, I would not force him back at this point if he's going to miss Game 1 and Game 2. Obviously, he's a young player. This is going to be kind of interesting, though, because they haven't made out of the first rounds with Luka. He's injured now. If he comes into the season again next year out of shape again, now it's starting to pile up into injuries. That's a real concern if you're the Dallas Mavs. Obviously, Luka is incredibly talented, but there is another side of this as well if you want to have a long and successful career, which is you got to come into the season in shape.
Right.
Like that's the thing. So the USFL kicked off this weekend, and fans are showing how excited they are about spring football. The league projects there were 3 million viewers across Fox, NBC, and their streaming audience for the opening game. The Birmingham Stallions' 28-24 victory over the New Jersey Generals also peaked with nearly 3.5 million viewers during the broadcast. The camera angles are incredible. They have all these really cool different elements. They have these, they put microphones in the pads so you can hear what Moose called the crunch. So you can hear the crunch sound when you hear the hits. They're showing some of the different angles now. They have the cams in the helmets. It's really cool, all the different elements that they're using.
Well, I've told you, I've been wrong twice, but I absolutely believe spring football will work. One, now with legalized gambling, it gives us something to gamble, and we do as a country gamble football. Two, there's just a lot of good quarterbacks out there. The high school quarterbacking is sensational. If you have quality quarterbacks and you can protect them a little, it'll be watchable. It'll be consumable. And the other thing is all these spring football leagues, they know they're not going to duplicate the NFL. They take big risks on their TV product, and some of it's just fascinating to watch. So you get football, but a kind of a zany, weird, like artificial intelligence. Is this what football is going to look like in the NFL, where it's pads everywhere and you can see everything and there's new technology? And the XFL did this years ago with Vince McMahon, and everybody mocked it, but it was like the NFL stole stuff from it and should have. So the spring football, to me, is going to work. It's like any other business. It's going to work. You're going to need the right capitalization. So you got Fox and NBC now. We've got networks with real money, And the other one I think would have worked, but COVID hit.
Yes, yeah.
So, I mean, because if you look at the numbers, now the numbers will come down from the opening week, but if you can average 1 million, that beats like regular season hockey and baseball and MLS. That's a real number.
Well, also, it just, it takes consistency to build brands up, and to become attached to players and the new teams and everything. I automatically have a team in the Pittsburgh Maulers who play tonight at 7 Eastern on FS1.
Oh, they do?
They were supposed to play last night, but it got postponed because of the weather. So that will be the end of week 1 tonight, with the Tampa Bay Bandits taking on the Pittsburgh Maulers tonight at 7 Eastern on FS1.
I get Jazz Mavs tonight.
Yes.
And then I get a USFL game. What else do I get tonight?
We also have Raptors Sixers.
Oh, okay, I'll watch that too. All right, I got a good Monday night. Warriors Nuggets.
And Warriors
What am I
Nuggets,
complaining about?
You got a full day of sports.
This is fantastic. Joy with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
Several. This is his 15. And this is where mobility can kind of mess up your legacy. And I think it's hurt Chris Paul's legacy. Point guards or quarterbacks. We don't mind them going to a second team. We don't want them bouncing around the league. It made Brett Favre look needy going to the Vikings and the Jets. It's hard to sell to a basketball fan to appreciate his greatness. So the way I always explain Chris Paul is, when he arrives, bad teams suddenly get good. Oklahoma City was tanking. Phoenix was a mess. And when he leaves, all-star level players often disappear. DeAndre Jordan, Blake Griffin. In sports, we like simpler arguments. Good guys, bad guys. Star, bust. Great player, bad player. Chris Paul's more complex than that. He goes to bad teams, makes them playoff teams, and then people go, well, I mean, he doesn't win championships. Championships? It was a dumpster fire when he got here. He got him into the playoffs. I don't win championships like Magic. Yeah, Magic inherited Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Yes, Isaiah had a Hall of Fame coach, Chuck Daly. You look at all those other point guards. Just Stockton had Jerry Sloan. Isaiah had Chuck Daly. Magic had a Hall of Fame coach. Curry's got a Hall of Fame coach. And Chris Paul's had a lot of different coaches. Some good and some not so good, many fired. And his legacy is complex because of that. But when he shows up, he makes mediocre special. And when he leaves, special disappears into the ether. Remember how much we used to talk about Blake Griffin? He was like KD now. He was on every show. And when you talk about the top 5 point guards of all time, this weekend, Chris Paul, at 37 years old, had 30 points and 10 assists. And Phoenix is the best team in the league. And here's an interesting stat from Tom Haberstroh. Here are Chris Paul's fourth quarter stats in the playoffs. Since the Rockets traded Chris, it was at a time called the worst trade ever, remember? They traded Chris from Houston to OKC. And since he's been at OKC and Phoenix, his fourth quarter stats, he shoots 56% from the field, 54% from three, and 89% free throws. And he's turned 37 in 3 weeks. Wow. But again, it's complicated. It's not a nice, happy ending. The good guy doesn't always win a championship. It's messy. It's layered. It's nuanced. I always laugh at this guy doesn't have any championships. Yeah, he didn't inherit Kareem or have a Hall of Fame head coach at every stop. And he had to bounce around because, let's be honest about this league. Even Jordan ended up with the Wizards. LeBron has bounced around. A lot of the smarter players have bounced around to find the best fit for them. But when he got to Oklahoma City, they were tanking. And when he got to Phoenix, they had been a mess. A talented mess, but a mess for a decade. And now they are and should be favored to win it all. And his Game 1 performance was typical CP3. Here's Joy Taylor with the news.
No.